What's going on, everyone? New World Order Survival Guy here. Today's topic is get prepared, not distracted, which seems to be an issue with a lot of folks around this fine country of the United States of America. So let's get into it. If you haven't already, please like, share, and subscribe. All right. Very important topic. There's people's minds scattered everywhere. And I just want to help you keep your focus on what's most important and what you can control. You can control over your own destiny as far as keeping your family safe as possible under the circumstances. So let's go ahead and get into this. I'm going to try to keep it semi-short. It's going to go a little distance, but seeds. Everybody must develop their seed bank. Extremely critical, crucial in every aspect. Because when grocery stores are down, and not to mention with all this GMO shit and all this other crap, everybody must have a seed bank. Heirloom seed bank, non-GMO, non-hybrid, all varieties. Do your research on, as well as like I did. I looked up the most nutritious tomatoes. Maybe you want to look for a particular fruit or vegetable that grows best in your grow zone. Absolutely a must. The most hardy type of seeds that's within the heirloom spectrum. Very important. Seeds, seeds, seeds. And get a shitload of them, because not only are they good for your food longevity, but they're also great for bartering. Along with the seeds, you have to do some research on how to mend soil and how these individual fruits and vegetables grow. Like the acidic, like berries are pretty acidic, so you need to have acidic soil, but you can add shit into that soil to help make them acidic type fruits or vegetables grow, such as like coffee grounds and stuff like that. Just little tricks of the trade that you can easily put. You don't have to do whole garden of acidic dirt or anything like that. You just have like a foot diameter. You just add to that specific plant. I mean, there's a whole bunch of stuff to learn on that, but my point is to get seeds and get tons of them, all different varieties. Then you could worry about the acidity and alkaline and all that stuff like that. But seeds is absolutely important. I'd get like tomatoes, spinach, kale. You get your onions that are pretty hardy to grow, potatoes. There's just tons and tons. I get all kinds and get thousands and thousands of them. You can buy them in bulk. Absolutely a necessity, and they're cheap. Just make sure you get heirloom, non-GMO seeds. All right. Next is medical kit. I would not buy a pre-made medical kit. I would absolutely build your own. Get a good couple medical bags, one for trauma and one for typical medical supplies like pain medication, Band-Aids, peroxide, just stuff like Neosporin, lip protection, some lip balm. There's all sorts of stuff for that. Then get one that includes trauma. You can have blood clot. You can have sutures. Just types of medical supplies that you would need to address more serious issues that you may run into in a survival situation. Very important. It's best to accumulate, because if you sit there and buy all this stuff at one shot, it gets very expensive. Then pre-made medical kits are very expensive, and they ain't got hardly shit but just a bunch of bandages and wraps, and it's best to build your own. You can easily get this stuff cheap by accumulating little by little what's on sale, but make a list out and attack that list, going especially by necessity wise. So make sure you guys all get a good medical kit. Maybe you have some health issues that certain things are needed more than just a typical medical supplies. Get that early. Stock up. Stock up. Very important, because you never know what you're going to run into. Make sure you put hydrogen peroxide and rubbing alcohol and stuff like that in your kit, because you can turn a cut into just a cut, or you can turn that cut into a life-threatening injury through infection. So make sure you definitely stock up on that hydrogen peroxide and triple antibiotic creams and stuff like that. You need that, any type of antibiotics that you can, especially when it's on the surface of your skin. That's easiest to get and it's cheap. You talk about internal antibiotics. That's I know there's this company Jace that you can get antibiotics online. It's reasonable priced, and in some of the cases you don't need a prescription, because they know it's for survival and stuff like that, and they give you like a year's supply. So I think it's on jace.com or something like that. I check that out and find out the absolute facts on getting that. But that's what a lot of these preppers go through, is this company Jace, Jase. All right. Moving on. Knowledge. You got to have knowledge. You got to study up on your skills. You got to, that's the most important survival skill and survival supply you can have, is a supply of knowledge. Very important. Whether it's making a fire, whether it's water purification, treating injuries, knowing how to make shelter, just knowledge of, more knowledge you have, the better off you'll be. And it's nothing that you have to carry in a pack, because it's all in your head. If you have first aid knowledge, that comes extremely valuable, not only to your well-being, but as a bartering, or, you can make trades, or it's really good to have no matter what. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you'd be welcome with open arms into a lot of these communities, survival communities, if you have a certain knowledge, and medical knowledge is one of them. You don't need any extensive medical training, any type of degree in college, which would be ideal, but treating gunshot wounds, treating injuries, broken bones. I mean, just it's something that you can, a knowledge that you can accumulate through just research. The more you know, the better you're off. So, anyways, medical supplies is an absolute must. There's tons of different things, and some of the simplest things is sometimes the most important things. Like you have some chapped lips, it'll crack, it'll bleed, it's just absolutely agonizing for pain like that if you haven't ever felt that before. So something as simple as that to the more extensive medical supplies, it's an absolute must. Moving on, clothes, survival clothes. You need good gear. Boots, shoes, footwear, socks. Absolute must. Consider wool socks. Consider waterproof boots, hiking boots. If you need insert soles to make it more comfortable, it's absolutely great to have those, because your feet is everything when you're on the move. Your hands and feet. No, it's like a vehicle with some shitty tires. You ain't gonna get very far. Absolutely need some good shoes or boots, should I say, because those are the tires for your body. Socks for your feet is thick, adds comfort, repels water, it dries fast, keeps you warm. Absolutely necessity to at least get a couple pair of those, as well as gloves. You need to keep your hands warm. You need to keep your hands protected, because if your hands get cut up or injured, you're out of commission with your hands until those are healed. And they're not going to heal for a long time in the wilderness when you consistently need to use your hands for every aspect. Okay, now we move on to hats. Cover your head in the heat of the summer when that sun's beating down. It is not good for you. We're not talking about suntan prevention or nothing like that. We're just talking about protecting your head. Keep that sun off your head, especially if you're bald-headed like me. But also it keeps off your face and stuff like that. It really gets draining having sun beating down on your head all day. Don't forget to consider about the colors of your gear. A hat, you really don't want a black hat. I mean, it's good for concealment, kind of hiding out a little bit, but it is pretty harsh when it comes to the sun beating on a black hat. So take that into consideration. Also, like jackets and stuff like that, you definitely want to wear something that'll keep you nice and cold, especially since you got winter coming up. It's good to have layers. Don't cheap down on the jacket. Get a good jacket that's an all around. Propels water, keeps in warmth. You need some kind of good warm jacket to keep in that body heat. Absolutely crucial. If you can't afford a big good jacket, then, like I said, layers is absolutely great, especially when you're talking about some sort of repellent type cover, like a military poncho with some warm insulation clothing underneath. You can figure it out. It just depends where you live is what you really need. You need definitely something waterproof that'll propel water off your clothing. That's anywhere, whether it's snow, rain, whatever. Absolutely crucial. And then layer up underneath. Don't forget about the beanies. Keep your head warm. A lot of your body heat releases from your head. Take that in consideration also. Then you got your pants. You can get your long johns, whatever. Think about the elements where you're at. And yeah, clothes is really important. And you don't want to cheap out. You don't want to go to Walmart if you can help it. Because you're not going to get an opportunity if shit hits the fan to go to a store and buy another article of clothing. So you don't need that many because you don't want to carry a big suitcase full of clothes. You just want to pack what's on your body and maybe an extra pair or two of clothes, and that's it. In my opinion, that's it. The next one is plans. See, these are the do's of getting prepared, not distracted. You have to make a plan. You have to have some sort of pre-plan of what you're going to do in certain circumstances and certain scenarios. Because you don't want to get caught making just a split decision of what you're going to do. It's always best to pre-plan for this stuff ahead of time, and just in case. Just like if you're at home with your family, and you say, okay, kids, if there's a fire, you're going to go through this window, you're going to do this, you're going to do that. That way, if there was a fire and you never said nothing, they're not going to know what to do, and that's when a lot of people die because they're not pre-planned. It's the same type of situation. You got to pre-plan for this type of stuff. Kids, this may or may not happen, but if it does, if the phones go out, if, no communication, if you're stuck at school, if this and that, this is plan A, plan B, plan C, and so forth. Very important. Very important. All right, moving on to maps and navigation. Phones are going to go out. A lot of people, especially this day and age, do not know how to read maps. It's a very crucial thing to learn how to do if you don't already. And I know most people don't know how to read a compass other than the northeast, west, and south. It is very crucial to learn how, if you're in that type of situation, or if you think you'll be in that type of situation, is to learn about the different types of compasses and how to use them. That's what they've always used throughout time, and they've gotten all over the world using compasses and maps and stuff like that. I mean, how do you think they made maps in the first place? Because they got their ass out there and explored and shit like that. They didn't have any electronics and stuff like that, obviously. So, very crucial to learn, especially if you're planning on hightailing it out from your area. Very crucial to learn. Maps, you don't need batteries. You don't need internet service. You have it. They're pretty damn easy to read. You just got to be familiar with it and, get them. I'd get the laminated ones so they don't get damaged in any kind of weather. So, yeah, that's Another big thing that was on my list. Um, Moving on to fire. Really important to have fire starting utensils. It is very important, and this goes under the knowledge of creating fire through friction with sticks and flints and stuff like that, but that is extremely hard, especially in a lot of conditions in a lot of areas. So it is best to stockpile lighters, water resistant matches, have a tinder, dryer lint from the lint trap. You stock that, you can stuff it and stuff it and stuff it. Very good fire starter. It starts real easy. That's just one idea. But having lighters, having ferro rods, having magnesium sticks, all sorts of different fire starting utensils is very crucial. And it's cheap. Because when time needs that you need fire for cooking food, for boiling water, I mean, bathing, I mean, just all kinds of stuff, or just to keep warm. The last thing you feel like doing is trying to mess around with some sticks and stones to try to start a damn fire. It's not as easy as it looks. It is a very great skill to learn, but it is very time consuming, and conditions often make it really extremely rough. And when you're in a stressful situation, that's the last thing you want to rely on unless you absolutely have to. So fire starting, absolutely. Fire starting tools and utensils, obviously very important. All right, moving on. Food. Food. I know people like to stock up on frozen food. People like to stock up on canned food. Boxes of this, boxes of that, whatever. That's okay, but that's going to be the short-term stuff. Absolute best longevity of food, other than seeds, is freeze-dried food. Freeze-dried food holds just about all the nutrition value of the food that you freeze-dried. It lasts minimum of 25 years. That's if you keep it dry and secure. Out of the heat, out of the sun. That's optimal conditions. Freeze-dried food, you can get meats, you can do fruits, you can do vegetables, you can do seeds. You can do just about anything. Very important, very crucial, and it lasts the longest out of the choices of foods that you can prep for. You need protein, you need meat, because that's some of the hardest stuff to get, especially during a survival situation. You think you're going to go hunting and fishing and just you'll have an abundance of food? Think again, because everybody's going to be hunting. Everybody's going to be fishing. They see you kill an elk and you got a crew hiking by, they're going to get you for that at all means. So protein and the essential benefits from meats, minerals, vitamins, just everything. The essential oils, very crucial to a human body and very much needed in a survival situation. Meat is like one of the most valuable things other than water, which that we'll talk about in a minute. So freeze-dried food, I know it's expensive. I know buying one of them units from Harbor or Harvest, right? Those freeze-dried machines, super expensive. It's expensive to run it. It's expensive to buy the bags and the the Mylar bags and the oxygen absorbers and all that. It's best just to buy these damn already packaged. I would not get the buckets. Those are kind of pricey, and you don't get as much food as you think you do. You think you're gonna open up a bucket and it's just a bucket full of food. No, it's not. It's just a bunch of individually packaged shit, and it's priced. I'd get those cans. I believe they're called number 10 cans or something like that, and those are filled with the foods. I would definitely stock up on the meat ones if you can find them, and you can. You ain't gonna find them too much at the grocery stores too often, but you can order them, and they're a hell of a lot better price than those buckets. Um, so let's move on to shelter. Shelter is very good to know where you're going to be at. If you can't stay at your house, if they're coming door to door, martial law, UN style martial law, or whatever, it's best to know that you can leave and you know how to build a shelter and keep warm and keep out of the elements. Extremely crucial. You can be hidden, you can be anywhere, and you know how to build a shelter. So that is an option, and it's a very good thing to learn. And that's something that everybody should have at least some knowledge about. Some knowledge about shelter. You need to keep your body elevated off the dirt, off the ground. And you can use that bedding with sticks and leaves and whatever else you can find. This is America. We're land of trash, just everywhere. You get stuff, man, put it under your body. You keep warm, keeping that body heat. You can make a makeshift shelter, and you can live. It ain't pretty, but hey, that's what you got to do. That's what you got to do. Location or relocate. Like I said, if they're coming house to house and you need to bail out, you need to bug out, you need to figure out a location ahead of time, which will be pretty safe. You can't just say, "Oh, I'm gonna head out to the mountains and I'm gonna make do, and nobody's gonna think of this shit and all this shit like that," because thousands of people are headed to the mountains. Maybe you need to find a location. Maybe it's in the desert. Maybe you got to think of some place that not everybody's gonna flock to. But then again, you have to have someone that has water. If you have your own water, own food, you might be able to sustain yourself for a while in some of these isolated locations. But most of all, you have to be certain that you're safe. Because if you ain't safe, you're going to get your food, you're going to get all your supplies taken. So you have to stay hidden. And don't forget about aircrafts and drones and stuff like that. You want to stay hidden in some sort of trees or something, or rock caves, something. You don't want to be seen. So pick a secure location, do it way ahead of time, because this ain't a time to make that last ditch decision unless you absolutely have to. But think, tons and tons and tons of people are going to be thinking the same way you are. That's why you got to stay one step ahead of others. Very important. Next, a crew or a community. Think about building some sort of community, and doing it ahead of time is more prevalent than any other time. I know desperation kicks in after shit hits the fan, but you got to have at least a secure group, some people that you can work on to count on ahead of time, so you can establish and have some pre-based plan on what will transpire if and when something of shit hits the fan takes effect. You have to have your group because otherwise people are going to railroad you and they're going to just try to take over. You want to be somewhat established beforehand. You know, you're going to need help. You're going to need lookouts. You're going to need protection. You're going to need somebody to keep eye out when you sleep. You know, you can't know it all. You can't do it all. You can't be a medical assistant and a carpenter and a soldier and I mean, you know how much that takes out of you? It's so overwhelming to be able to do all that and there's millions and millions of people all around and you're supposed to do all that by yourself. You know, it's best to have some sort of community, of trustworthy community to have with you. Who's gonna watch your child when you need to do shit? You know, when you're working, when you're trying to survive and do shit, you're not having all that time and energy to be looking over your shoulder while you're doing, you know, building stuff. So it's best to have a community of people of various types of knowledge of survival skills. You know, you got to cook dinner, you got to chop wood. There's so much. There's so much. It's best to have a good community to help with the gardening, with the help, you know, it's a lot of work. You can't do it yourself. I mean, you can if you're just by yourself, maybe, but I mean, it's best to have humanity on your side around you. It doesn't have to be like this. It doesn't have to be hundreds of people, but have some sort of survival group if possible. Quantity does is not what you want. Quality is absolutely what you want. So, you know, more guns, more ammo, more skills, more eyeballs. It's very crucial. Very crucial. Next, survival tools. Make sure you have your tools. Make sure you have knives. Make sure you have the equipment you need to help you sustain a survival situation. Many different tools, depending on where you live, depending what situation you are in. It's always good to have good survival tools. I suggest once again, don't cheap out on some of these tools, especially a knife. You know, a knife, a shovel, just things. You know what I mean? You don't want to buy a rope or something from Harbor Freight when you can go get some good rope. Or, you know, don't break the bank, but just take that in consideration because we all know how cheap tools, how they last and shit like that. So think about that. Tools are very important. Think about what tools you could probably use or need. I would, you know, do research, man. I mean, anything even a sport, even carabiners, um, good cordage, maybe a hatchet, definitely a knife, saws. There's different little survival saws. I got this silky big boy saw. You know, it's probably not the best, but I mean it's really good. Um, I mean it's just depending, man. I mean, do your research on tools. Very important. Last thing I'm getting into, of the do's is water. Water storage containers. Stuff that doesn't leak out, microplastics and stuff like that, if possible, but I mean, if that's all you got, then you'll live a lot longer than with no water. So take that consideration. Start storing water. You got to start storing water. You got to start storing water filtration, portable water filtration. There's many different kinds. Very, very important, obviously, because if you don't have water for a few days, you're going to die. So, water's out in the stores. You think you're going to go and drink out of a lake or river? Absolutely not safe. Obviously, you need water. You need clean water. Yes, boiling's good, and that'll kill a lot of the pathogens and bacteria and stuff in there. But there's still other stuff in there. I mean, this is something like reverse osmosis type deal right here that can take out chemicals and crap like that. Some of the stuff that boiling won't do, stuff that the life straw won't do, and some of them basic filtration systems. You want to purify, at least have one or two good purifying portable water systems that can take out, because you never know what you're going to deal with. And it's best to expect the worst. If there's no chemicals being sprayed or spilled into the waterways around your area, I'd have a couple of these reverse osmosis, one or two or something, and just keep it tucked away. And then, like I said, if it's not chemicals or anything in there, then you can use your filtration systems of a lesser value in that meantime. So, water, very crucial. Very crucial. All right, so now let's quickly get into the don'ts. Don't get into this political agenda bullshit, because they're both freaking lying. They're both full of shit. They're both taking away your constitutional rights. Politicians lie. That doesn't exclude one or the other. I mean, actions speak louder than words. And when Trump was in office last time, his words were much, much louder than his actions. People just don't pay attention, so they excuse and trust whatever he does. That's exactly why they put him in there, because he can reel in half of the country by some bullshit few words and throw in patriotic and shit like that, and people are going to flock to it. That dude is not patriotic. He's a fraud. So pay attention. Don't get too wrapped up in these politicians. Wars. These wars, man, people get wrapped up into these wars. Yeah, I mentioned it a couple times about these wars, but you get a lot of these YouTubers that really get into these wars, and it's just the same old bullshit year after year after year. 10 years later, they're still talking about war, still trying to do a scare tactic and stuff like that. Yes, there is wars going on. Yes, it is getting crazy. Yes, it could affect us in a very severe way. But the most important thing to consider and take into consideration is that what are you going to do about that? You ain't going to do shit. What you need to do is prepare. Prepare for anything and everything. And that's the only thing you could do. Prepare for scenarios. Get your skill set. Get your knowledge set. That's the only thing you could do. Period. Whether you want to deny it or not, that's the only thing you could do. News, don't worry about the news. The news is going to talk about actors. They're going to talk about stupid shit. They're going to float your mind away from reality. They're going to lie. Operation Mockingbird, where the government and these NGOs fill these news anchors' wallets and purses full of money for spewing out lies and curving the narrative of reality. Natural disasters, same thing. Yes, there are real natural disasters, but a lot of these natural disasters that happen are absolutely assisted by the NGOs and these corporations as well as government of intensifying these storms and fires and everything else for population control. Absolutely happens. They put silver iodine, feed it into these clouds, dry ice agents. They do all kinds of stuff to feed, as well as frequencies, various of different types of frequencies they feed into these storms and stuff to intensify it and all that. Voting day. Don't get too distracted by voting day. I know a lot of you out there want to go and vote. You're going to vote for Trump. You're going to vote for whoever. Voting is a waste of time. Go ahead, do as you please, because it ain't going to matter anyways. It's just an illusion of choice. I wouldn't get too hyped up in it because it's already pre-selected candidate who's going to be in office. Just focus on survival. Focus on prepping. Focus on, because regardless, no matter who's in office, this United States is going down. By the powers that be, that are controlling everything, they're bringing the United States down. Invaders, yes. What are you going to do? Boot them all out? You're going to fire them all up? What are you going to do? You're going to do that. You need to prepare. You need to hide your preps as well. Hiding your preps is very crucial because when you get your door kicked in by either members from whoever's going to be doing the martial law or these invaders or whatever, you don't want all your eggs in one basket. You got to keep stuff hidden and protect your preps. You have to. These holidays, enjoy your holidays, but also consider that this country is going to shit on purpose. By design. And holidays ain't going to stop it. Be prepared even in the holidays. Always have it in the back of your mind that it's coming. This ain't a scare tactic. This ain't, I'm saying just always be ready at all times. Because holidays is a time where they would love to kick your teeth in when you least expect it. Weather, don't get caught without the right preps for the weather coming up. I'm sure it's going to be real cold here in Colorado. It is. It just went from summer to immediately winter. We didn't even have a fall. Maybe like 5 days of fall. That's it. So it's hitting us fast. Don't get caught up or get caught without fuel or something like that. Be prepared. Inflation, you know what's going to happen. You know the dollar's collapsing. Like I told you before, in my opinion, gold is a scam because if shit hits the fan, you're not going to be able to spend gold anywhere and use that for currency, just like you cannot now, because they took it out of that system where it's not legal tender. So, you know there's inflation here. You know the dollar's crashing. Don't get caught up in that. Just prepare. Just use your money for preps. Religion, you get a lot of rumors and news and stuff like that say there's a religious war and stuff like that. Who cares? It's a war. It's not a religious war. Not even the Muslims are thinking this is a religious war. That's all lies spewed out by the mainstream media to put out a false narrative. If you have a religion, if you're Christian or whatever, go ahead, pray, whatever you do, but just don't fall for the hype of anything. This is not a religious war. You do need to prepare. Whatever deflection they want to spew out to you, and that's why I was mentioning religion. It's don't believe it. The narrative is they're turning into this new world order. That's what the true narrative is. So sports, I know it's sports season. Once again, don't get too wrapped up in sports. I was a huge football fan and basketball and baseball fan. That was my life. I kicked that to the curb some years ago because I there's more important shit, and I know that sports is just a distraction. Not to mention most of them are corrupt and rigged and shit. But think about your family, man, because them sports can be gone. Them sports can be gone anyways. That's basically all I wanted to talk about. Please like, share, and subscribe. New World Order Survival Guy. Get prepared, not distracted. Very important. Have a good night, everyone. See you on the next one.